Morning, Trainiacs. After 6-7 long months, the main training tank is open. It is a warmer pool. It's quieter after the renovations. It's a little bit brighter. Like here, normally you can't see me. You can now. Basically all of January here, 2019, I am traveling to produce all of the master classes, leaving on Saturday to go hang out with Lucy Charles and Reese Barkley with How to Swim. And then we come back home for 2 days, and then we go to LA and hang out with Cameron Worth, the current 2-time Kona bike course record holder, to produce the How to Bike course. Interesting thing about Cam, he sets those records without a power meter. Hardcore. So he give you the little scoop on Cam's approach to cycling and why he is such a stud rider. We're going to talk about his approach to cycling, which is quite a bit different than you'd expect. He was a high-level rower, and then he is the training partner of Geraint Thomas, current Tour de France champion, Chris Froome, previous Tour de France champion. The man's good. The man's good. Let's talk about that after a swim. As I was thinking, like just this morning, in between the swim and now, about what I was going to talk about, like what makes Cam Worth so good when seemingly he might not be, like on the surface, an amazing cyclist. He's 6 feet tall, 157 pounds, 35 years old, so it's not like he's this real young stud that's coming up out of nowhere with a massive amount of cycling talent. It's not like he's this tiny little guy with huge powerful legs and has a huge strength to weight ratio. And then when you look at his performances back when he was a cyclist, he did 2 Grand Tours, whereas Andrew Talansky did 7 Grand Tours, finishing 10th and 11th in a couple of different years in the Tour de France. And Andrew Talansky is coming into triathlon, and it's not like he is blowing people out of the water in the bike. So why then is it that if he doesn't use a power meter, he's not structurally, like just naturally gifted for this, he's not some young stud full of testosterone, why is he so good? I've come up with 5 reasons that I think Cam is quite good, and I want to dig into these when we do the masterclass. So if you haven't yet, I haven't really talked about this a whole lot, go to triathlonterran.com/early masterclass. And while you're there, there are 50 spots, actually there are 40 spots now left for a half price offer to get in right now on the How to Bike with Cam Worth Masterclass, as well as the Sarah True and Ben True Running Masterclass. And if you're involved in that early sale, you get it for half price, and you can submit your questions to Cam, Sarah, Ben, and take part in putting together the content. Okay, let's get into those 5 things. So number 1, all of this is not to say that he is not a talented athlete and he's just willed himself to become a good cyclist. He knows what he's doing. He was an Australian National Championship rower. He went to the 2014 Olympics in rowing, so he's got an enormous engine and he knows sports really well. Talking to him when we got together with him in Kona, he knows so much about just how to be a good athlete. And one of the things that he does, this is the first thing that I notice, is that he builds an immense amount of power, trains really well, gets himself in good cycling form, but then when it comes to really key races, he starts whittling himself down and dieting down to a really light weight. Now, he doesn't do this all year round. You can look at photos of him over the course of a year and see that he fluctuates a little bit in weight. But when he starts tapering for Kona, because he knows that it's not healthy for any of us or him to focus on dieting year round, he just diets, I would guess, in the last 6 to 8 weeks, loses that last little bit of weight, holds a lot of the power that he's built, and all of a sudden, he has a really good power to weight ratio. Next thing is that he focuses on the aerodynamics of his body. Something that he talked about was that it doesn't matter what bike you're on, 85% of the aerodynamic drag that we have to push through the wind is our body. It's not the bike. So while the bike can be optimized for this and that and perform well in the wind tunnel and all these things and save 2% of your average watts over the previous bike, well, it really doesn't matter if your body isn't optimized for aerodynamics. So this means being comfortable in the aerodynamic position. This means having a tri-suit that is really aerodynamic. This means, in Cam's case, having the bike, after he is able to get into that aero position really well, having everything optimized for even more aerodynamics. And this is like, I will link to a video up here that I did about something Cam did that I have implemented on the Ventum right in behind you, that is to angle the aero bars up so that you can be more comfortable and more aerodynamic. So the second thing there is he focuses on aerodynamics. Third thing, and this is fairly wild, he does about 75 to 80% of his training on a road bike, really only riding his tri-bike every 7 to 10 to 14 days, no more than once every week, he says. And he does this because you can put out a ton more power in the road position, but you still want to have your body fairly comfortable in the triathlon position. And if you're not comfortable on your bike, you're not going to want to go out and ride it. And then when it comes right down to it, as Matt Steinmetz said when he did the bike fit with me in Boulder, we're spinning circles. So sure, you can go onto a mountain bike, you can go onto a fat bike, you can go onto a road bike for the vast majority of your training, but make sure that you have one day a week that is a very triathlon simulated kind of day, a very long ride with a brick run after it, simulating what you're going to be going through in a triathlon, so that when you get to that race, your body knows exactly how to do it. You got the muscle memory for it. A fourth thing, and this is where we start getting into some fairly unique things that we have to talk about with Cam in the masterclass, because I'm not entirely sure what he means. Something that he said over and over while we got together with him in Kona was, I'm just gonna work the road. And what he means by that is he wasn't really even going to put a Garmin computer on his bike. He was going to have the power meter on there, and he might have a power meter somewhere stashed around so he could have the power file. But he wasn't going to focus on average power. He was going to, what he called, work the road. I think that what that means is, instead of riding for an average power, he was going to ride for speed at a perceived effort. So if he perceived something was about race effort, what he would do is try to build speed where the course allowed it on rollers, and then not blow himself up and not try to lose much speed when the course doesn't allow it, say on gradual false flats, things like that. But this is where the masterclass is going to be good, because what he says is every Tour de France rider knows how to ride for speed and not power, whereas triathletes are just power, 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 power. Meanwhile, he comes in as a cyclist and starts blowing everyone out of the water because he knows how to work the road. And the last thing, this is super cool. He does a ton of rides. And the cool part is that we can see this on Strava. Check this out. Whereas a lot of pros are really secretive about their training, like try to find some training data about Patrick Lange, it doesn't exist. You can see basically every single ride that Cam Wurf does. And what you see is he rides a ton. But he's not just going out there and smashing himself ride upon ride, doing, these are all in kilometers, 126 kilometer, then 72, then 78, then 140, then a 41. He's not just killing it all the time. So let's look at basically 3 weeks out. Like these are some of the biggest, most critical rides that you would be doing. Long ride on September 23rd, 235 watts, average power, pretty good. Let's look at the other ones. 139 watts the day before, 181 watts the day before that. 221 watts, yeah, okay. 184 watts. I mean, these are numbers that 164 watts for average power. These are numbers that I would put out on a long ride. So what I want to chat with Cam about is how is it that you can go from putting out this kind of power, average power of 164s and 181s and 235s when you're really killing it for a few hours, but then all of a sudden you go to Kona and you put out this record-setting, course record-breaking ride averaging 296 watts over 4 hours, 7 minutes, and 30 seconds. These are the things that we are going to dig into in the masterclass. So if you are interested in getting in on that, asking Cam some questions, saving yourself 50%, go to triathlonterran.com/early masterclass. Get in on the presale. That's what I got. He's an interesting dude. Funny story about Cam. For the first, I would say 3 months of knowing about him on Instagram, I thought he was trolling me. I thought he hated me, calling me chubby and stuff like that. No, that's just his sense of humor. And then when I see him in person, he's actually quite a nice individual. Don't tell him I said that. All right, go check it out. Watch this. Chaos. Later, Trainiacs.